YouTube at this time, and then we'll get on into the rest of everything for tonight. It is quiet. It's Valentine's Day, Valentine's night, I guess. This is where, again, we're going to be seeing the calm before the storm, as it were, as we get into tomorrow. That is where we could, okay, be quiet there. We also see, again, the potential for some stronger weather into next week. We could be looking at the potential of maybe some winter weather heading on through. All right, YouTube is ready to go. I think we are good, so we're going to go ahead and get things going here for this evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onick. It is Friday, Valentine's night, the 14th of the month of February, the Ides of February coming up here tomorrow, as it were, but Julius Caesar still has about one more month before anything has to happen there. Right now, again, we've got little, if anything, really happening, but it's going to be tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, is where we may see the potential problems out there, and that includes, again, the threat of severe weather down to our south and west. This is an old graphic. We'll show you the latest updates coming up here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into what it looks like outside right now. It is comfortable. It is dry, and from what it was just about 24, 36 hours ago, rainy, foggy, windy, not great to be out and about. Downtown Chattanooga, this again, seeing a lot different conditions out there than what we saw again about 24, 48 hours ago. So good news on that. If you are planning on getting out and about for tonight, definitely want to make sure that you are bundled up and ready to go, because temperatures will once again be rather on the chilly side as we head into the very early morning hours tomorrow. And if that's not cold enough for you, then we've got more cold weather coming our way into next week. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. 50 degrees at the Chattanooga airport, winds out of the south at about 6 miles per hour. Give me just 1 second here. I want to see what's going on at 2475. Where earlier tonight it was a parking lot, and as of right now, traffic seems to have abated a little bit. So from 75 north to 24 west, a little slow heading into that construction zone, but otherwise not really looking at too much of a problem. Temperatures right before we hit the top of the hour back into the 50s in Chattanooga. And again, not seeing anything in the way of very cold weather, no 30s out there, but some lower 40s showing up as we go into Saturday evening. If you've never been here before, this is where we get to talk about the weather situation around the News 12 viewing area. Southeast Tennessee, western North Carolina, northwest Georgia, and northeastern Alabama. That is where News 12 is located, with Chattanooga right there in the middle. If you got questions, we've got the chat function open on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you have anything you'd like to ask, go ahead and drop into the comments section. Just say hi if you want to. And thanks to everybody for checking in and following along on YouTube and also on Twitch for tonight. A little bit farther out, again, we've got some very chilly conditions well back to our north. But what we do not have is anything in the way of very, very cold weather shaping up for now. That will be a different story into the course of the next couple of days. High pressure off the East Coast, keeping us dry for now, but going to be seeing a little bit more in the way of moisture coming up off the Gulf of Mexico. And then we've got this to deal with. We've got the next storm system heading off the Rockies into the Plain States, and this is going to stir up, again, more potential of showers and thunderstorms as we go into tomorrow. This is going to dig a little farther to the south and then head back up to the north of us. This is going to be the trigger, the fuel, the instability in front of that system out here. And then as we go a little farther afield, let me take you back to the Gulf of Alaska, where our next weather maker after that will be heading in toward about the middle of next week. This system has a pretty good punch to it already. Probably going to be slamming the West Coast with some different amounts of weather coming in. Not entirely an atmospheric river yet, but that could cause some travel delays from Seattle all the way down to San Diego. not too bad for right now. High pressure keeping the West Coast dry and stable. All that rainfall after all those fires leading to some pretty major landslides and washouts. Not great news, again, with this inbound at this time of the year after all that damage has been done. All right, so let's time things out as we get into tonight and tomorrow. Saturday morning, some showers around and about. Through about midday, there will be more showers, but most of those will be lifting to the north of Chattanooga. By mid-afternoon, that is where we start to see the system really get a little closer to the mid-Mississippi Valley. This is where we see the worst potential for anything really heavy, and all the way back down to around parts of the mid-south area. Now, I think what's going to be shaping up, this appears to be kind of a late-night event taking place just to our west by midnight Sunday. Definitely going to see what's going to be going on here. Definitely want to stay tuned to News 12 at 11 on Saturday night. And then the main part of this squall line looks like it's going to be moving through somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning. At least that's what this computer model has. And then passing east of the area as we head, excuse me, into very early pre-sunrise hours on Sunday morning. Now, most of this should be gone as of the time everybody heads off to church or Sunday school. Some remnant showers possible as we go into around Sunday morning. And some of that, with the colder temperatures north of us, could fall as some snow. But again, that's going to be limited to the higher elevations. Sunday afternoon, maybe a little chillier out there as we see the full force of that cold air arrive. High pressure moves in from the west. We'll start to see again more dry air taking place for early Monday and continuing into early Tuesday. Not much of anything going on after that, but our next storm system is going to be inbound as we go toward Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. This is going to be kind of a double whammy here, to where we see a minimal chance of winter weather coming up by the time we hit Tuesday into Wednesday, and then the really cold air heads down. Let me see if I can advance the time on this just a little bit longer, because I'm going to be interesting to see just what exactly we wind up with. Let's go out to 130 hours and take a little bit of a look there. Tuesday morning, not much going on. Tuesday night into Wednesday, we've got that part of the storm system coming on through that will launch, again, a little bit of moisture there. And then we may see a possible repeat performance on Thursday, where the really cold air, single digits, negative numbers all the way back to our north. But that's going to be enough to sit in place down toward the surface as we get more warm, moist air moving up over the top of that. So we do see the potential of some more winter weather returning to the area. All right, let's go through and talk about what we're expecting into tomorrow. First of all, rain. Better possibility of heavy rain from southeast Ohio back into the mid-south, and there could be 2 to 4 plus inches of rain here. Notice at this time, and this is very important to take a look at, to where we are over here, again around Chattanooga and the News 12 viewing area. Everything from heavy rainfall from last time, that gully washer that we got over Monday through about Wednesday, that has now shifted its way back toward Middle Tennessee, central, southern, western Kentucky, northwest Tennessee. So the really heavy rainfall is moving away from us. So that's good news in and of itself. What's not good news is an inch plus in some of these areas, including maybe about 2 inches in the purple right there that you can see around the area. Why is that so bad? Because that is going to be falling, coming down on very saturated ground. So the ground is not going to be able to absorb that moisture as if it could, if it would have been very dry. This ground is saturated, which means there's tons of rainfall already in the soil. We've got kind of a brown ocean effect going on with that dirt and soil holding all that moisture in. This is going to cause the rain to hit the ground, run off very quickly, and become a flash flooding threat. So that is why the National Weather Service, Nashville and Morristown, have already reissued the flood watch. It goes into effect tonight late and stays in effect through Sunday morning. As of right now, Grundy, Sequatchie, Marion, and Bledsoe counties in the News 12 viewing area northwest of Chattanooga are the only counties listed in this flood watch for here in the Tennessee River Valley. So far, so good, but that could be expanded if the rain just shifts a little farther over to the east, so we're going to have to watch that very carefully. Now, that is what we see in the way of rain. We also have the potential of looking at the possibility of some very breezy winds, and that in effect for part of the News 12 viewing area well to the east, southeast Monroe, southeast Polk County. That is where we get the potential of the highest winds. This is what is called a mountain wave event, where you have this very high winds high up in the atmosphere, but some of that manages to translate down to the higher peaks, and as that happens, we look at very gusty winds possibly moving into the foothills of the Appalachians. Higher elevations here, southerly winds at 20 to 30, that's just sustained winds. 60 mile per hour gusts a good possibility, and then higher elevations up towards Great Smoky Mountains National Park excuse me, may see even worse conditions up there in some of those hollers around the area up around the Tennessee-North Carolina line. So if you're traveling between Knoxville and Asheville, this is where we're going to be seeing the worst of the worst when it comes to anything involving very heavy winds. All right, now that's heavy rain, heavy winds. Let's talk severe weather. Not much going on again into tonight and overnight, rain and maybe some thunder possible. And then tomorrow, this graphic day 2 will not be updated until late tonight, early tomorrow morning. But for right now, the main thing to look at is this right here. This orange area is an enhanced risk of severe weather. So that's a category 3 out of 5 in severity purposes. Now, the good news for us, and this really is a good piece of news, that most of the severe weather threat that was a category below that, 2 out of 5 slight, that is where we see it going back down to the south and to the west. So we see a lessening of the possibility of severe weather. Same thing for eastern parts of the viewing area, an even lesser marginal threat for eastern parts of the viewing area up along the Tennessee-North Carolina line and into northeastern parts of Georgia. The main thing to look at here is not the fact that we're seeing a lessening of the severe weather, but everybody in the News 12 viewing area is still under a threat of severe weather. Greatest severe weather threat tomorrow evening here, and then lesser but still possible threat of severe weather coming up on Saturday. Now, after that, as we go from Saturday into Sunday, everything leaves the area probably by about dawn patrol Sunday. But again, this could stretch out a little longer or shorter, depending on how things go with the models. We'll see what happens with that a little bit later on. Now, taking a look here at the potential, excuse me, I'm still getting over whatever crud I had a few weeks ago. The main threat is going to be damaging winds. Another threat of flash flooding is still going to be a potential problem. Lesser threat, the atmosphere doesn't seem to be really garnering anything in the way of hail potential for now, so we're keeping that on the lower end. And then as we go into Saturday night, Sunday morning, sorry about the glare right there. This light really needs to be fixed if at all possible. A medium threat for the possibility of tornadoes. So that is where we see again, that's where we're looking at the potential problems right there for, again, the possibility of tornadoes. So we have all modes in play except hail. Maybe some small hail out there, but a large hail event does not appear to be a threatening situation. But this right here lends itself to the idea that we could see for tomorrow. And again, this forecast, what you just looked at, and this are hours old. We would use a new amount of data coming through, but that won't be heading our way until 1 or 2 o'clock Eastern in the morning. So we're going to have to wait till tomorrow morning to see how this shapes up. From Chattanooga back to the west into Middle Tennessee, northern Alabama, this right here, again, is showing a 5% chance of looking at any possibility of a tornado anywhere in this area. A lesser 2% area to Chattanooga and areas just east, northern Georgia, southeast Tennessee. But the best potential of tornadoes will be back to the west of us. And again, the best potential of anything involving what's going on with the possibility of severe weather, the even greater possibility of severe weather will be here in that enhanced risk area. So from the Mid-South across northern Mississippi, southeastern Arkansas, and northern Louisiana, that right there will be the best possibility for general overall tornadoes. So good news is it's staying away from us. Bad news is we still have the potential of some tornadic weather here. Now, that was just tornadoes. What about significant tornadoes, which means category EF2 plus, and possibility of long track tornadoes, tornadoes that drop to the ground, stay on the ground for longer periods of time than your average weaker tornadoes? That also is back toward that area where we see, again, the best threat, the enhanced threat for severe weather. Again, this is what it looks like for tonight. The Storm Prediction Center's forecast updates every few hours, and it is possible that we may see again more of the threat here. It could come forward eastward toward us. It may diminish. It may drop back to the west, to the south. We'll have to wait and see what the forecast holds. But for right now, worse potential for larger, more powerful tornadoes. Yes, there is some, and it looks like it's staying well to the west of us. So we'll see what happens with this as we go into tomorrow. Pardon me for 1 second. When your voice is your instrument, you have to remember to keep a nice wet whistle. Thanks to my wife, Melissa, for picking up some more of those water flavoring packets. This one is fruit punch, and that's a very good treat when you're talking for hours on end, as I tend to do, and tomorrow night could be one of those as well. All right, that again is where we're looking at the potential for the severe weather. Let's take a look for what's going on toward the end of next week. This is where we see again the potential for a big cool down heading our way, a large punch of cold air. The jet stream is going to dip way on down to the south and allow all that cold air to head our direction. And that means some very chilly conditions again for our area by the end of next week. If you thought yesterday evening was cool in the 30s and 20s, just wait, we've got a lot more than that. Now we see also the potential of some heavier amounts of winter precipitation. Now by Sunday, again, the threat of any snowfall should be passing us well over to the east, and then we could see higher elevations, Cumberland Plateau, Appalachians, and the foothills, maybe as much as a dusting to around an inch or so. And the computer model's putting that in over Nashville too, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now that goes until very early Monday morning. Not anticipating slick streets at this time as we go back to work or school, if you have work or school with the holiday off coming up on Monday. Then watch to the west as we start to see our next storm system making its way through the Mississippi Valley, and this one takes a little bit more of a southerly track, so we do see the potential of heavier snowfall. It looks like the computers are keeping it north of the Tennessee line, so Tennessee, North Carolina, maybe as far south as northern Georgia, but that's going to be about it. So, and again, with winter weather, please remember that things will change. It will be very different by the time we go toward next week, and that is why it is critically important to pay attention to what's going on with the weather. Severe weather, winter weather, freezing fog, heat waves, anything like that, weather aware is a very good thing to be. And we'll talk more about why that is coming up here in just a little bit. Let's take a look and see what's going on for your 7-day forecast so you can have a better idea as to what we may be looking for out there. 7-day forecast and a look at the Island Cove Marina and Resort camera overlooking Lake Chickamauga. A little foggy out there, a little bit of some light mist into the trees, but otherwise very quiet on the water's surface for tonight. Now, again, as it looks for the time being, we may see the potential of some severe weather tomorrow. Right now, the highest threat for this area is a slight risk category. That could go up, that could go down, that could stay the same. We'll keep you updated on News 12. Again, a flood watch in effect through tomorrow into Sunday morning for heavy rainfall possible. Rain quits as we go through Sunday morning. Then we cool off from the 60s on Saturday to the 40s on Monday. Then our next system gets organized out west. Lower 50s, that's pretty much spot on normal right there. But check out the temperatures toward the end of the week. We'll be back in the lower to mid 30s, very close to freezing on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So there will be a possibility of a wintry mix, and then rain during the day, maybe some thunderstorms on Wednesday, but I think it's mainly going to be rainfall. And then as we go into Thursday night, enough moisture with some very cold temperatures could guarantee that we see more frozen than liquid precipitation. But going towards that, we're going to keep that mix of precipitation in the forecast as we drop into the 20s for lows and right at freezing for highs on Thursday. We will see again the potential for at least some winter weather out there. Let me move this over because that's where it's supposed to be. Why you were over there, I have no idea. All right, so that'll be what we see for into Thursday. Cold, and by Friday morning, again, if you're a fan of cold weather, we are rapidly running out of winter, heading towards spring. So enjoy the very cold temperatures. Could be in the lower teens by the time we hit Friday, maybe warming up next Friday to the lower 40s. So we have got some big dips in the temperatures coming our way. We also have, again, enough on this, just this 7-day forecast to consider being weather aware. This is necessary over the next few days with the severe threat Saturday into Sunday, and then the possibility of winter weather as we go toward Tuesday, Wednesday, and early Thursday. So keep it tuned to News 12. We'll keep you updated on what we're going to be looking for and the changes in the forecast, more importantly. Now, one other thing I want to mention at this time that is, well, a couple of things, in fact, that are very, very important. It's very much nice to be able to see this taking place. But something to think about, again, having a plan ready to go. Winging it is not a plan. Just saying, oh, I'll deal with it when the tornado warnings start getting issued. Well, that's too late. And again, that can cause confusion, that can cause panic. Taking a look at your plan beforehand is one of the best things you can possibly do. I need to do another What I Want to Know show on this, but just some suggestions, again, about where to meet, should there be a disaster, who to contact, things like that. Get your phones charged. Get your battery-operated radio or TV. Weather radio, change the batteries. Keys, wallet, purse, ID, cash, a go bag with all this in it. So if you need to evacuate, you can grab that go bag and get out. Extra batteries and flashlights, a good idea. Having a paper map around, so just in case the power goes out on your phone, good opportunity to have that. Also, again, knowing your county area with that paper map and following the situation. We have a number of paper maps around here that we can use just for reference purposes. Keeping that around would be a very good idea so that you can find out, knowing where your county is first. Again, if you're out and about, know the shelter locations, but keep in mind what county you're in, not just what county you live in, but what county you happen to be in. So if a warning is issued, you can say, oh, that's my county, I need to get to shelter as soon as possible. This is very important because if you have a bad enough weather situation like we had here back in about 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, with those storms that came up from the southwest and affected a good portion of the area, having an out-of-town remote point of contact, what's the deal about that? Let's just say we have a a natural disaster like a swarm of tornadoes, an earthquake. They can still happen here. Let's say, God forbid, there is a terrorist attack that concentrates on the communication system. Having an out-of-town remote point of contact means you can reach out to that person out of the disaster area where you happen to be and say, I'm here, I'm okay. If you hear from anybody else, tell them that I'll be here and that I'm all right. The one thing to take a look at is to have this ready to make certain that you are able to have a secondary line of communication. If locally all the power and all the communications are out, and you can't get in touch with your family, your friends, whoever, then you can contact that out-of-town contact. My out-of-town contact is my father-in-law, Tom Alford, back in Knoxville, and that's who everybody will check in with to see if he has heard anything going on whatsoever. So that's a good thing to have there, and that's all stuff to do before the storm. When the warnings are issued, this is very important to make certain that, again, you are able to get to shelter wherever you happen to be. Iced tea, getting very dry in my throat here for tonight. Be aware of the situation. Pay attention to what's going on with the weather. Don't let it sneak up on you. Know where your shelter locations are. Be able to get to that shelter as soon as possible. Do not use shelter of a bridge or an overpass, because that bridge or overpass can focus wind and debris right up underneath there. It is not the best place to be during a storm. That right there is a lot of research that went into that particular system, noticing that people got injured more underneath the bridges and overpasses excuse me, that would not have been hurt quite so much had they been in a ditch or a culvert someplace. And that's something else to take a look at. If there's nothing else available, get out of your car, get out of your truck. You may get messy, you may get wet, but the point is that if you are in that ditch, you are going to be someplace where the debris is going to fly right over you instead of hurting you if you were up underneath that bridge someplace. So again, all this good information. Ready.gov has got a lot of good stuff. I assume the website is still up. It may have been taken down by now. No way to know at this point, but we'll hope that that website stays up to everybody's benefit. Now, also taking place into this next week, and this is very appropriate on timing. Tennessee, a lot of states do not have severe weather awareness weeks. A lot do, and Tennessee is one of them. Starting this Sunday, February 16th, is Tennessee's Severe Weather Awareness Week, and there will be many topics coming up throughout the rest of the week. So if you have any plans, again, for next week, check in with us. We'll be featuring the topics every single day to let you know more about what is going to be focused on to help you get prepared. Sunday the 16th, preparing before the storm, flooding and flash floods. Monday the 17th, Tuesday the 18th, lightning. It's called the underrated killer for a very good reason. Statewide tornado drill coming up on Wednesday, and that is going to be at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central for the entire state of Tennessee. If there is inclement weather, that'll probably be postponed to the next good weather day. They'll announce that if that happens. Thursday the 20th, severe thunderstorm safety. Friday the 21st, tools to receive forecasts and alerts. Do not just depend on tornado sirens wherever you happen to live. Do not just depend on weather radio. Do not just depend on your phone. Having a plethora of ways to get warnings is one of the best ways to do things. And then on Saturday next week, how weather impacts your communities. You may never think about this, but again, weather can have wide-ranging impacts from heat waves to, again, tornadoes or blizzards. It can happen. Even solar storms can be an issue. And that, look up the Carrington event in 1859, and you'll see what the sun can do to us in a major impact type situation. This is one more good example about what NOAA does and what the National Weather Service does. So good opportunity to learn more about National Weather Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's efforts to protect the public. This is a very good indication about what NOAA does, so please consider this and stay tuned to News 12 again for more. We'll keep you updated on this throughout the course of the next several days and weeks. All right, going to our weather poll question of the day, and I did not present this correctly. I think I confused my co-anchors Andrew and Kay. But the question, countries cannot rely entirely on green energy sources. And 89% of you said that was true. Well, places like Ethiopia, Denmark are running about 99.7%. And there are many other places out there that use tidal energy, wind and wave power and solar power and all sorts, and geothermal power. Iceland gets a big boost from things like that. So countries cannot rely entirely on green energy sources. That's completely and totally false, and that's one of the things we'll be taking a look at coming up next week. Thanks to Beltone for being our sponsor of our question of the day. Go to wdef.com/vote now or use the QR code to go and vote, and we'll have another quiz coming up from the Weather Department that'll be showing up at about midnight tonight if you'd like to play along with that. Let me see if I've got it. I know I've got it listed here someplace. Almanac page for today. Numbers again back into around the lower 50s, so relatively close to where we should be for this time of the year. We have just a bit of a surplus out there. No rain officially for today. We definitely use some more for the month, but for the year, we are pretty much almost exactly where we should be. And that's decently good news after the year of 2024, where we wound up with, I believe, a 13 or a 14 inch deficit. It was a very dry 2024 around most of the area. So again, not great news for everybody else around there, but at least we did manage to pick up some amounts of rainfall into portions of the area, so good news on that. Heading off in the morning, I think the best possibility of rain will be just after dawn patrol, and that again could be a bit of an issue there. Heading out to take the pupper for a walk in the morning, you may have some raindrops taking place, maybe even a rumble of thunder. I'm not sure if this is the name of the dog or the name of the person submitting the missing name of the dog. Whoever Monroe Honey is, pupper or person, thank you very much for our dog walking forecast pupper picture of the day. If you've got dog pictures to share, we'd love to see them and share them. WDEF.com/dogwalk if you want to get your pupper in the picture. We do have, again, some days that are just perfect for sunset. Thanks to Mark McComey from Chattanooga for a sunset on January 4th around the area of Lake Chickamauga. So amazingly beautiful shots there. And if you'd like to submit your picture of the day, email them to us, drop them to our social media pages, or again, go to our main website for pictures at wdef.com/photos. And thanks to everybody for sending in some great pictures so far this year alone. Good opportunity to see more there. Out and about tomorrow, you might be able to get in some activity, but I think good portion of the day will be taken up by scattered showers. And again, remember, more chances of thunderstorms the farther we go into the afternoon and evening. And that is going to be a particular problem for anybody on the golf course. So maybe you might get in a few holes out there, but with these breezes and the chances of rain, it's not going to be all that comfortable out there for anything going on. So maybe a good golf video game inside would not be such a bad idea. Once again, the big weather story for now is what we're going to be seeing Saturday afternoon and evening to our west, Saturday night to Sunday morning back around our area. We're going to be watching this very carefully. You need to be weather aware. We will be weather aware, so keep it tuned to our social media pages for more, and we'll give you an idea as to what's happening. And I will be on live on News 12 at 11 coming up tomorrow evening on Saturday to keep you advised as to what may be happening. A lot is going to change in the next 24 hours. And again, that's why we say be weather aware, because of the fact that things change. You can't tune into a forecast on Monday and expect it to be the same by next Saturday night. You have to pay attention all along that line, especially where bad winter weather is coming in, severe weather is coming in, heat waves are coming in, anything like that. It's vitally important to check in and see what's going on. Hit me up for anything on the social media pages. Glad to see folks out there. Reddit, Instagram, Tumblr, Mastodon, Counter Social. I'm on chess.com, lichess.org. I'm on Discord, and you can find me out there on various other places as well. But please stay weather aware. It's going to be very important to make certain that you are watching exactly what is happening for your own safety. Again, we will help you do that, and it's a good possibility overnight, Saturday night into Sunday. We could be here for a very long time, but that's what we do. We give you an idea as to what's happening. This is the place for, again, severe weather information forecast and all sorts of other details and science. So keep it tuned to News 12 for that. Chip Chapman will be back on Monday morning I'll be here through the midpoint of the weekend to keep you updated on what is going on. So definitely want to stay tuned to News 12 for more information. Got questions, concerns, complaints, if you must, aonic@wdef.com. Bottom section of our screen, wdef.com/weather, if you'd like to check in for more there. And again, definitely want to tune in on air to catch up with the latest of what may be going on with watches and warnings. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Aonic, live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thanks for joining us on Friday night, Valentine's night, the 14th of February. And stay tuned for more details about severe weather updates coming up throughout the rest of the weekend on News 12.